So, hello and welcome to another podcast from the Engineering Department at Durham University. As always, my name is Chloe, and today we're joined by Imogen, who's a fellow third year engineering student and good friend of mine. Welcome, Imogen. How are you?
Thanks, I'm really good. Thank you. It's lovely to be here, finally. It's taking a while to do it.
Yeah, this has been a long time planning this one. Okay, so today we're hoping to talk a bit about your experiences studying engineering at Durham so far, as well as a bit about women in STEM and the spring insights and the internship you completed earlier this year. So to start at the beginning, what led to your decision to study engineering and why did you choose Durham?
So engineering for me was always because I loved maths and I loved physics. And I didn't really know what engineering was, but my parents both studied it to certain degrees, and they sort of gave me the faith to be like, okay, I don't know exactly what it is yet. I've done a bit of research, but I know that once I get there, I'll like it because of the stuff that I like doing in A levels. And looking at my friends now that do maths and physics, I'm like, thank God I didn't do that, because the engineering stuff agrees with my brain because it's realistic and practical. And for Durham, it was one of my choices, and it was as every Durham student probably. But it was I really really loved it because when I came around it was just so beautiful. And the collegiate sort of system really sort of was a big appeal to me. And yeah, I think that was the main thing. The city just felt really safe. It's quite small and it's quite achievable as your first sort of city living in by yourself. And yeah, everyone was really friendly as well on the open space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a great community at Durham and the city's lovely. A good mix of sort of not too big a city, bit of countryside, but also a bit of that city buzz if that's what you're after. So how did you find first year? And can you give us an idea of the sorts of things you might do in a typical day as a first year engineering student?
Yeah, I found first year really fun, of course, for us. That was COVID year, so we didn't get all of it. But yeah, it was really good. So I did we had computer labs, that kind of thing. So we had a bit more practical stuff then, quite a lot of contact stuff. So we were doing a computing lab so we had support through a summative that we were doing for that. And that was really helpful for the supervisors and everything. And then we had labs weekly as well, I think. And they were all, it was all just kind of getting to know stuff. I remember I didn't know what a breadboard was. The PhD supervisor was not very impressed with me. But it's all a bit of a learning curve. But I think first year is really good for that because you motto the whole week first year doesn't count. It just try and work out how to be at uni. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of new people. Did DWM that year as well, so Durham University Electric Motorsport, which is really good for engineering students to get involved with because it's so unique to Durham, and it's probably the most practical stuff you'll ever get. So if you're keen on that kind of thing, it's really useful. So yeah, really good fun.
Yeah, that's great. And how would you compare second year to first year? What would you say are the main differences?
I think my academic advisor, Professor Gaskell, he's brilliant, and he said to me that second year is your hardest year, and it gets better from there on. And I think I'm hoping that's true. Fingers crossed. So far it just seemed like it because in second year your schedule's really full, but with loads of subjects that you don't necessarily they're not necessarily your favorite. So you hear electronics and you have to do it, or mechanics or whatever. So I think I found second year good. It was very full on, and it was different because it was not in person. So perhaps that was a bit easier because there wasn't so much else going on, so I could actually take all the information in a bit better. And it's a shame about labs that year, so I didn't really have those in the same kind of way, though we did have a couple in person that were quite good. But yeah, third year seems a little bit more, it's nice, everything sort of seems to, as a general degree, when you start to specialize, it all seems to fit together a little bit better, so you sort of understand why you're doing these modules and how they link to each other a little bit more, I've found so far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, second year I think is a great base because you get to, as same as first year, you get to do the broad general engineering. But yeah, definitely I think because then you specialize in the area that you're particularly interested in, that's where third year really comes into its own.
Yeah.
So has there been any modules or activities you've done in the last few years that you've particularly enjoyed?
I think I never thought I'd say this because I'm not the most practical engineer, but design was actually quite fun in the end because in first year, it was a really good way to get to know people in the first place. I made a lot of friends and sort of people that I now would smile at in lectures and that kind of thing. So it gives it a bit more like colour to your engineering degree. And then also in second year it was perfect because that was the way that, and Chloe was on my design team, so we had like basically weekly catch-ups that we kind of like a nice chat, and then did like the business talk, because we were quite isolated in engineering in second year because of COVID. So it was actually such a nice way to see everyone and just remind yourself that you're not doing it like alone, that you got your friends there as well. So yeah, would say design for that actually.
Yeah, no, 100%. I thought the sound was really good as well. So which stream have you decided to take in your final 2 years, and why?
So I'm doing the electrical stream, and I'm hoping that will take me to renewable energy in fourth year. I mainly did this because like a lot of people do mechanical, it's kind of like normal to do mechanical, and I'd just say, like, as a word of advice, like I wouldn't let that like put you off, because like it's like, it seems like brave to do something different, but it shouldn't be. And I think I did it because of the renewable energy slant at the end. And I also just found, like, I always thought I'd do mechanical, and then I actually just, like, the maths, I can't like wrap my head around sort of some of the more mechanics based stuff, and I found that when I got my results back for second year, I did better naturally in electrical electronics. So I thought that kind of area would be good for me. So I think that was it. And I think it's very much like try and take it from like a not thinking what everyone else thinks you should, like people should do, or like what's normal. Because I'm still like with my friends, like you guys in mechanical lectures, there's some like mechanical module shared. So you still get to see people that aren't in the same modules as you, and your design group as well through that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So moving on to some of the things you do outside of your degree. So you're currently the president of Durham University Women in STEM. Can you tell us why you got involved with this society and what your plans are for your time as president?
Yeah, so I was always really keen to get involved, like right from the start. I think it was just because I am in my physics class at A level, though it was an even split between girls and boys, and that was quite unusual. And we're all just like being about women and STEM and just loving that kind of side of it. And then I was really lucky in first year that they had an opening on the exec like later on in the year, because normally exec elections are the year before. And so I was able to get involved in first year as an events manager. And then I did I was really keen to be involved. Like, I think it gave me a lot of confidence in just, you know, the little things like sending emails and like understanding just how to sort of conduct yourself in like professional situations, because women in STEM are a society that we help with professional development and academic development. So we have sponsors that come in and do talks and like dinners and that kind of thing with us, and help with like career advice and that kind of thing. We're also trying to make it a little bit more sociable, but we're working on that side. Yeah, so it was it sort of really helped with those kind of things. And then when I did second year, I sort of made a mentoring scheme, and it was just such as like a nice sense of pride to like look at something and be like, wow, like we made that, like it wasn't there before and it did help people. And yeah, and it was nice to carry on with that. It seemed like sort of a natural progression to try and be president, and sort of take us back, because that was in COVID year last year, to take us back to in-person events and do a bit more sociable thing as well, to try and make a bit of a community for women in STEM, and because you can meet people across subjects. And also like second years was really useful because they've like now been able to meet some people through, and like it's given them a channel where, because like in second year it's kind of a bit more closed off, like probably everyone's made their friendship groups and stuff, you might feel like that, but they haven't actually, because they had COVID and online lectures. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that it helps, I think, and that's why I really like it. And yeah, it's been really fun to be a part of.
Yeah, no, it's really good. For any freshers who are listening who are women in STEM, definitely check out the mentor group, and any women in STEM in any year, be sure to check out the Women in STEM Society, because it's definitely a really good place to meet sort of like-minded people. So you've also undertaken an internship this summer and 2 spring insights over the Easter break. Can you tell us a bit about these experiences?
Yeah, definitely. So my internship this summer was at Rolls-Royce, and that was in defence aerospace down in Bristol, and it was really good. I was in the design systems team, which is a very vague name. So I was essentially helping. It was quite a small team. There were really about 5 of us, making a using coding, so a lot of Python, to create an app that was basically like trying to set up like a fancy version of Excel. Like it handled a lot of data, and it was presenting that data in a way that that like people could look at, clients, but also like, you know, people in the companies that are creating that data, to look at it and process it in different ways. I was mainly sort of on the working on the interface itself, like the visuals of it. So I learned a lot about coding, a lot about computer systems in general, just because like working on IT systems, where you actually got to try and like put the software on and like link different bits of software together to make it all work. I learned a lot about that, and I wasn't necessarily expecting to. I thought I'd learn more like hardcore engineering stuff, but you also just learn about being like in the working world, because you're actually sort of being a 9 to 5 student. And yeah, I mean, quite, you had the same experience, didn't you, as a summer intern as well? So yeah, it's a bit of like it's like, oh my god, I have to be like in the office and answerable to from 9 to 5, whereas a student, it's kind of like you can go to the gym at like 11 and no one cares. It's a bit different, but it was really nice. The team were amazing. And then so that was for an engineering internship, and then I'm also interested in finance, so I did 2 spring weeks over Easter. I did Nomura for 2 weeks, which is a bit different because it was paid insight, which is 2 weeks, and then I did BNP Paribas, which was a 3-day or 4-day internship, where it's more like an insight event, so you're not employed by the company or anything like that, and they just tell you a lot about the company, and they do some like workshops and stuff. They were really helpful. The Paribas one was more the typical structure, and that's quite intense because you've got like 4 days of so much, all this new stuff, and so you're just having to learn constantly, but it's really rewarding because you're really pushing yourself in that time. And Nomura is really good again, like everyone took really good care of us. So yeah, it's just if you're an engineering student, if you're doing a 4-year course, you can apply to this in second year, which is actually quite useful because you have a bit more experience to talk about. But if you're in first year, you have to sort of get on it like right now, because if you're in first year and on a 3-year course, you have to do those really quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think sort of summer placements, insights, whatever you can get really is great to just explore your career options and see how you find the workplace and what sort of jobs you might want to do. So when you're applying to those experiences, how did you find the application process? And do you have any tips for people looking to apply for similar programs?
Yeah. So the application process, I think all of my assessment centres, so I'll go a bit more about those in a minute, but they were all online for me, and I think that might be different. I think some of them are keeping them online, but so basically you go in and you have to sort of it's different for different ones. There's normally like a text part at the start, so you put in your CV and you put in your cover letter, and then you might have some like situational judgment, verbal reasoning kind of tests, and then you go on to an assessment centre, which is interactive. You have other applicants in there as well, and you have to like perhaps like solve a problem together, and you get interviewed separately as well. So it's quite an intense experience. I would say a few things to like be really thick-skinned. So like when I was applying for spring insights and for engineering, I must apply to like 30 different places, something like that, and I got 2, so like, you know, you get rejected a lot, but you have to get used to that. And like, you know, because everyone's looking at something different as well, so just because one doesn't let you in, that doesn't mean that like you're not good enough. It just means you might not have been the right fit, and that's okay. Yeah, I mean, just start doing stuff straight away, like you know, try to do as many societies, volunteering, sport, like stuff that you find fun, of course, like because it will all look good. Like if you want to like, action a play, or like, you know, do DVM or anything, like any sort of range of stuff, be in a band, whatever, like it's all useful. But also perhaps try and do some like relevant stuff to what you want to apply for. Yeah, and assessment centres, like make sure you relax and be sociable, because like, you know, all the other people are there, and they watch all your interactions, and like you don't want to be seen as someone that's going to like sort of trying to step on the competition and stuff. If they ask you to work as a team, work as a team, because I saw some people that like fell down on that one because they were sort of thinking about themselves a little bit too much in it, and obviously it's inevitable, but like, yeah, just be nice to everyone and chat to everyone, and that will go miles in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're looking for you for sort of the person you are. They know at that point, you know, your academic skills and stuff. So what they're really looking for is your personality at that point, I think. So that's really good advice. So when you're not studying or doing internships, what do you enjoy doing in your free time?
It's not much free time with us, but I like with an engineering degree. Oh my god, we do quite a lot of socials women in STEM, so they're all quite fun. So it's not always like really work to the grindstone. But I love going for runs. Me and Chloe have gone for runs together, going to the gym. Yeah, very big on fitness. I think it's a really nice way to sort of like have like productive, relaxing time. Like it doesn't always be productive, but at the same time, it's really nice to get out there and know that you've done something like for yourself. And I think it's always really important to try and fit that in. Like with your degree, it's really hard, but yeah. And then apart from that, yeah, just socialize with my friends, go out for dinner, drinks, that kind of thing, and just generally like winding down after busy engineering days.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. So finally, to bring this podcast to a close, what would you say you're most looking forward to in the next couple of years?
Oh, I mean, the next couple of years, I think it's going to be quite interesting the final year doing a project that I have to take a bit more ownership of, because I've never sort of done that too much in the design groups and everything. You do have slightly less choice in what you're doing, and that's kind of useful because there's less stress about it, but at the same time it's really nice to look at something and sort of see a project through completely yourself from like start to finish doing an individual project. So I think that'll be quite exciting. Yeah, so in terms of academics it's that, but also yeah, just sort of seeing where everything goes. Like there's so many opportunities in at uni and like beyond, and like sort of using the opportunities in uni to sort of take you to places elsewhere. So yeah, all of that's really exciting.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Imogen, and thank you to everyone who's been listening. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. As always, be sure to keep an eye on our social media pages for future episodes and for more news about our department.
Thanks, Chloe.